Welcome to the Aesthetic Medical Practitioner Podcast, where we bring together leading clinicians, researchers, and innovators to explore the science, technologies, and ideas shaping the future of aesthetic medicine. I'm Amy Rodriguez, editor of Aesthetic Medical Practitioner magazine. Thank you so much for joining us. Our guest today is Dr. Charlene DeHaven, board certified in internal medicine and a fellow of the American College of Emergency Physicians, who has spent more than 2 decades at the intersection of clinical medicine, age management, and evidence-based skincare. As clinical director of Is Clinical, she guides product innovation, clinical research, and education globally, helping translate rigorous science into formulations used by aesthetic practitioners worldwide. Dr. DeHaven is joined by Tracy Imperio, Aesthetic Training Manager at Is Clinical, a master esthetician with more than 24 years in the aesthetics industry, and who serves as Is Clinical's education and training lead for global partners. Welcome, Dr. DeHaven and Tracy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Excellent. We're so happy you can join us. Dr. DeHaven, you have a unique background bridging clinical medicine and cosmeceutical formulation. How did you first become interested in anti-aging medicine, and what ultimately led you to Is Clinical and the world of clinical skincare?
I've always been interested in health, which I'm old enough that at one time was unusual in medicine. Now it's not as unusual. So that makes me happy. That's very good. Right. But when I was coming up in internal medicine and in emergency medicine, it was all disease-based. Mm-hmm. And really, it's still, if you go to a regular allopathic practitioner, it's still disease-based. There's more of a focus on health. But I was always unusual in that I was interested in the physiology of exercise and of health, in supplements, and that was at one time not common. I got interested in anti-aging medicine when a very interesting friend of mine actually told me about it. And we were both in emergency medicine. He was also a rather unusual physician. He had been a Navy SEAL. He was interested in supplements and health. He always exercised. And we always went to the same emergency medicine conference. We took our kids and they played together. And he told me one year, he said, "You need to check this out, this specialty, this new upcoming specialty, anti-aging medicine." And I looked at it and it just clicked. And so there was, in a couple of years, a board certification. It's not an official board certification, but it was a type of board certification in anti-aging medicine. So I did that also. And I studied really hard. I learned a lot from that, even though it's not an officially recognized specialty by the American Board of Medical Specialties. And then I opened one of the first practices in anti-aging medicine. At one time, I had the largest practice in anti-aging medicine in the United States. So I got into it early. I've seen it go through at least 2 or 3 evolutions. It's been an interesting journey.
So having had the advantage of working across, systemic health and skin health, aesthetic science, how do you see the relationship between overall systemic health and your skin health?
We tend, in medicine too, we tend to separate the systems of the body. Like we say, there's the cardiovascular system, and there's the gastrointestinal system, and then there's the neurologic. And we look at them as all separate, and they're all separate specialties, so that encourages that separateness. The truth is it's all one. We're one body. The skin and all these other systems are unified. They talk to each other. So if you really want to optimize your health, let's say, live as long as you can, as healthy as you can, you're going to have beautiful skin, you're going to have a healthy heart, you're going to have a brain that works, all of that. So it's all just tied together.
Right. So that goal is we're not after beautiful skin. Well, we're after healthy skin, which in turn, and that's the holistic nature of medicine as well. I mean, that's the very nature of aesthetic medicine itself.
Yes.
We're looking at everything as part of a whole and not in little incremental pieces.
It can be a little bit daunting because you think, I've got to take care of my heart, I got to take care of my brain. I got to take care of my skin. Yes, you do. And some of those things are separate, but a lot of those modalities are going to, like, good diet, good nutrition, exercise, adequate sleep. Those are good for everything.
So how has your experience with that side of things, how does that shape the way you approach product development at Is Clinical?
That's a really good question. And I think it's helped a lot. My background I've been fortunate in that I've been exposed to different specialties in medicine because I have more of a unification type of concept. And that background gave me a very good education in how the body works. And to know that and then apply that to topicals has been really helpful.
Oftentimes it's our background learning that leads us to, really hone in on our new, in what we're doing as well. So Is Clinical, of course, is renowned for its evidence-based skincare and clinical validation. What does rigorous testing actually look like behind the scenes? And how do you determine when a formulation is ready for clinical use?
Our formulas, we do a lot of background work before we make a formula. And the other thing about us that's very unusual is we manufacture our own products. I don't know another skincare company that does that. So we have like two separate businesses. We have the cosmeceutical business where we sell the products. We also have a manufacturing and an operations business. And that's unusual. When we are thinking of bringing out a product and we're working on product development, we research all of the raw materials research, the ingredients research, the food chemistry research. It's sometimes called personal products research. And we look at that. We look for new ingredients. Then we research what of these different ingredients that have promise can work together, because you can't put everything together. Some things don't like each other. And then when we have a product, we have to practice, like, okay, let's put these things together, and did it work or did it not? So we go through a stage like that until we get a product that we think we can bring out into the market. Then we send it for clinical studies. We actually test it at an independent lab. We do you can't do every test in the world on it, so we do selected tests that we think target that product and what we want it to do, and we clinically test it so that we know it works and how it works. And then we're ready to release it. Now, I will say we also are ahead of the game because of the ingredient quality we use. We have been very fortunate in that our clinical studies that we've done, there's only been one or two that have failed where we said, okay, that didn't show that the product worked very well. And one of those, it was the method of the study's fault, not the product's fault. We changed the method, did something at another lab, because I said, I know this product works. I know it does, this, what it's supposed to. Something went wrong. Well, the lab went back and looked at the method, and it was the reagent, one of the things you add to the product to test it, that was the problem. So the point of this is when we start out, our ingredient quality is so high that we seldom, if never, almost never, have a study fail. And our formulation science is we're very sciencey. So that's fortunate in bringing a product out. Saves a lot of time. We don't have a lot of products that fail in the studies.
Right. Can I add something on that too? Something that I think is very impressive with our company too is we have over 70 independent third-party clinical studies. That's very unique for a lot of companies. So not only do we manufacture the products ourselves, but then we have that clinical testing. Once again, very unique. So there's white papers and there's clinical studies. The white papers can be kind of more biased. They can be on an ingredient, but we always want to focus on that final formulation and what is it actually doing for the client to achieve healthy skin. So I wanted to throw that out there. Very important and very unique to our company as well.
And a lot of your ingredients are sourced from all amazing special parts of the world that I can't even pronounce.
We have some interesting ingredients. And basically, if it works, we will consider using it. So we're not prejudiced as to, we've got to have one type of ingredient. We do like botanicals. We like traditional medicine because there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom that's come up from that. Add that, take those ingredients and look at them scientifically, and you've got some good information about what's really valuable and what's not. So we use botanicals. We also like high-tech sciencey ingredients that maybe are made in the lab, maybe come from plants, but they're all tested rigorously. We know they work.
Yeah, it's kind of a combination. I was just talking to somebody else about this, where that beautiful blend of Ayurvedic, traditional Chinese medicine, but modern technology. That is something, if our company is going to come out with something, it has to have the latest and greatest in technology. But these are some ingredients that have been used sometimes for thousands of years and really very proven effective. Let's say we've got some Poro cocos extract. It's something that's been used in traditional Chinese medicine, even orally, as well as topically for anti-aging. And so we have a vast array of botanical ingredients such as those. Yeah.
Right. So you draw from ancient wisdom as well as
absolutely.
modern day science. So speaking of modern day science, can you tell me more about the Gene XC technology? So I understand that sits at the core of your innovation platform. Can you walk us through the science behind it, how it works, and why it represents a meaningful advance over like traditional antioxidant formulations?
The Gen XC technology is one of our groups of technologies that is very advanced. It's one of our newer types of technologies. And it's very nice in that it combines the activities of several different types of ingredients in a way that it makes it very powerful. So the Gen XC technology, what it does is in its name. It's easy to remember because its activity is in its name. So there's the gene, which speaks to epigenetics, that it talks to the genes of the cells and helps them. You know, our genes, like everything else as we age, they kind of go to sleep. They slow down and they go to sleep. And the Gen XC technology, the gene part, epigenetics part, it helps those genes function at what kind of wake up and function at a younger level. Now, the X stands for extremozyme. And that technology is borrowed from plants called extremophiles, extreme loving plants that live in parts of the globe that you wouldn't think anything could live because they're so tough, like the hot spots of New Zealand, the very cold northern oceans, the deserts, the high Swiss Alps where it's cold and dry. All these places have plants that not only just eke out a living there, but they really thrive because they make these enzymes called extremozymes. And we borrowed from them, some of those plants. And we use these extremozymes in our products because it helps protect our own skin against the environmental stresses we experience. And then the C is in the name, Gen XC. The C is vitamin C technology, but it's a very new advanced vitamin C technology that is, it's more powerful, let's say, better antioxidant, better collagen forming activity, easier to combine with other ingredients that also make it more powerful and active. So that's sort of a capsule of that type of technology and what it does.
Amazing. And that's out here in Australia at the moment.
Yes.
So perhaps to Tracy, barrier health and inflammation are increasingly central themes in aesthetic medicine. How do you see topical skincare integrating with in-clinic procedures to optimize outcomes and recovery?
Gosh, that's a great question. We talk about barrier health, and we were just talking about barrier health earlier today, as a matter of fact. And in fact, that's one of the cornerstones of when we work with our partners and we talk about more aggressive in-clinic treatments and optimal predictable outcomes. Is one of the very important things of, healthy skin is to make sure we have an intact barrier. So good, strong, healthy, intact barrier. We want to make sure we're reducing inflammation. We're hydrating the skin. The hydrated skin will help you to pull in the ingredients much more evenly, give you proper clinical outcomes. For some of our clients, it's stabilizing the melanocytes to prevent pigmentation, and then good, strong, healthy cells. And part of that, again, barrier health, is we want to strengthen that. And part of that is even the microbiome, is making sure we have this proper balance, this beautiful ecosystem of viruses, fungi, bacteria, mites that work in symbiosis with one another to kind of keep out invaders. But also, it's just really helping the skin to function much more healthily. We'll use ingredients ingredients such as bioidentical ceramides, cholesterol, fatty acids. We utilize humectants, all to lock in hydration and prevent transepidermal water loss. So we want to prevent that dehydration, but we want to lock in all of that hydration and moisture balance for the skin, because think of that as your fortress of protection from the outside environment. And it's part of, again, good, strong, healthy skin. And it should be focused on with every single client, from utilizing proper hydrators with sun protection in there, because that is what's going to fortify the skin, and it's going to continue to protect from UV damage, pollution, all of those types of effects that really come with, again, photo damaged skin as well, and and aging. And it gives a beautiful luminous appearance too, right?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating. So many clinics are rethinking how they position skincare, not as retail anymore, but as an extension of treatment plans and protocols. How can practitioners better communicate the therapeutic role of cosmeceuticals to patients?
Who do you want to answer that?
We can both answer that.
Yeah, I'd like to. Two perspectives would be great.
Okay, you answer and then I'll answer.
Yeah, well, it comes back to what I mentioned just a moment ago, which is it should be a non-negotiable thing. When we talk to our clients, there's many times where I've turned clients away from having more powerful in-clinic treatments because I'm seeing effects of, like I said, a weakened skin barrier. I'm seeing inflammation. I'm seeing some definite things where we need to strengthen that skin for optimal, predictable outcomes. And so, in fact, I've sat down with a client before. I'm like, listen, this is what, we need to work towards is home care regimens. We talk about an 80-20 rule of getting that skin to a healthier state before we do more in-clinic treatments. But there's a perfect marriage, because those in-clinic treatments will help our clients get to their end result much more quickly. But we've got to have, just like every day, exercising our bodies, eating healthy, we need to be really taking care of our skin, and the quality of ingredients absolutely makes a difference for those outcomes too, right? There's many claims out there by our competitors, and it really comes down into the science, and it's working with your practitioners that really understand that science and are carrying, products that really make a difference in the skin. That was the difference earlier we were talking about, is quality of the ingredients versus, what works and really what doesn't work, because there's many companies out there that make claims. And so it's in the science, it's in the clinical studies. And that's where the proof in the pudding is, the mechanism of actions and so forth in those final formulations.
As far as the importance of the pre and post care, if you're going to do a procedure, or if a person is going to have an in-clinic procedure, as Tracy said, you wouldn't go out and run a marathon just immediately.
Without practice.
You have to train. And if you want the best result, you wouldn't just have an in-clinic procedure without preparing for it beforehand, getting your skin in the best shape, and then taking care of it to optimize results after.
All right, great analogy. So I'm conscious of time, so I'll finish with one final question. Looking ahead, where do you both see the next frontier in clinical skincare innovation?
Well, we're at a great time in medicine, in health, in skincare, because there are so many advances. And I kind of have to answer that in a general way, because there isn't like one magic ingredient people are looking for the magic bullet. I want one magic ingredient. I want one thing to do, and then I'll know to do this and I'll be fine. And I'll get my aging under control. My skin will be beautiful. I'll feel good. I'll function well. There is no one magic bullet. No. But in our lifetime, we are going to see the further extension of our lifespan because of the advances that are being made in medicine. And those are going to carry over into topicals. So I don't know what the specifics are going to be. Some of it is going to be genes, certainly, because that's an area where medical research is really moving ahead, and we're getting on top of that. Epigenetics,
Telomere protection.
Telomere protection is going to be important. Mitochondrial protection is going to be very important in the near future. I would say in the near future, those two things. Telomere protection, mitochondrial energy, modulating that, protecting the mitochondria and the high oxidative stress that they are under. That's going to be important in the near term. Longer, so let's say near term, 3 years. Farther out than that, some gene therapies, some really advanced anti-aging rejuvenation medicine type of things that will carry over into skin.
Can I add something on that too? And not looking so far out, but what we have in front of us right now, and I think in the near future, I've had a lot of fun, and I sound like a nerd when I say this, fun studying industry reports, but we have to do that. And the clients are getting more savvy. We need to understand and listen to our clients. They're wanting products that are, cleaner ingredients, more multitasking, and helping us to age gracefully, not trying to change who we are and the appearance of who we are. And the beautiful thing of, what the clients are looking for out there is really where we're already at. And it's just trying to kind of spread, the knowledge behind our company and the science. And I think if people really understood what Is Clinical stood for, we'd have the global industry everywhere, wouldn't we?
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Dr. DeHaven and Tracy. We really appreciate you coming in and for your perspectives and insights. Thank you.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Yeah.